They're taking away the stuff that you do have, and they're not allowing you to get back the stuff that you previously had. If you don't already have an original copy of these games, or like they said, pirate it and get it illegally, you're just SOL. What's up, guys? It's the Gaming Zone bringing you your daily gaming news. Without further ado, let's get into it. After at least 1,400 layoffs, 7 studio closes, and 29 game cancellations, Embracer CEO admits I deserve a lot of criticism. Duh. Although it's been painful, Lars Wigforss says, I still believe in what we do. Embracer Group CEO Lars Wigforss is trying to take the brunt of responsibility when it comes to the company's most recent round of layoffs, studio closures, and game cancellations. Amid an ongoing period of unprecedented volatility in the video game industry, Embracer laid off 1,400 employees, shuttered 7 studios, and canceled 29 games over the course of about 9 months in 2023. The restructuring took place after years of high-profile mergers and acquisitions, not to mention the failure of $2 billion investment deal with Saudi publishing and esports company Sabi Games Group. Responding to criticisms fueled by these actions, Wingfour told Game Industry, as a leader and owner, sometimes you need to take the blame and you need to be humble about if you've made mistakes and if you could have done something differently. I'm sure I deserve a lot of criticism, but I don't think my team or company deserves all the criticism. I could take a lot of the blame away myself, but ultimately I need to believe in the mission that we set out, and that is still valid. And we are now enabling that by doing this new structure. On Monday, Embracer announced that it's splitting into 3 separate entities: Coffee Stain, Middle Earth, and Asmodee, all focusing on different areas of the current business. A few weeks ago, the company sold Borderlands to developer Gearbox for $460 million after acquiring it for roughly $1.3 billion just over 3 years ago. Despite all of this movement, Wingforbes, there's unity between the top dogs of Embracers about the company's direction. I still feel I have the trust from many or all of my key entrepreneurs and CEOs that have joined the group, he said. It's been difficult, but I think they all believe in the mission of Embracer. They also understand that the world has changed. We need to change. It's painful. We can't make all the games we wanted to make 3 years ago, but we need to adapt to it. We still make games. We still have one of the biggest, if not the biggest, pipeline of games in the industry, and we have great plans over the coming years or decades. What I think should happen is they should go to the drawing board, take a break. Just take a break, like a year or two. It's totally fine, and then come back out with like a banger. Like don't make no noise. Just sit in a dark room in the corner and just create, and then come out with like the best game ever. I feel like people tried too hard to try to keep up with the time, and that's what I feel like the studio tried to do, and clearly they failed. If you ask me, this is a massive fail. 7 studio closes, 29 games canceled, and 1,400 layoffs. Sheesh. I mean, I probably would have stopped, but who am I, right? On our next topic, HellDivers 2 leaks reveals new vehicle. The latest rumors about HellDivers 2 suggest that a new playable vehicle usable by the soldiers of the Super Earth on the battlefield is coming soon. New rumors about future additions to hit cooperative shooter HellDivers 2 suggest that the Super Earth armed forces may see a new transport vehicle arrive soon. The reveal comes courtesy of data miners, and players pick through the HellDivers 2 game files to find clues about developer Arrowhead Game Studio future plans. Though the darkly parodic science fiction future envisioned by HellDivers 2 posits a galactic war stretching across whole sectors of interstellar space, the forces of Super Earth usually have to hoof it to get to where they're going. Until relatively recently, the only vehicle HellDivers 2 players could ride in combat was the Hellpod they have used to arrive onto the battlefield from orbit. That changed when Arrowhead debuted the Patriot Exosuit stratagem in early March 2024. The exosuit gives a single player a heavy protective armor walker from which lay waste to foes from Super Earth. The latest rumor to come from the front line involved the potential addition of a new playable vehicle that is focused on transporting a Helldiver squad swiftly across the battlefield. Ironsights, a user on HellDivers Leaks Reddit community, posted images extracted from the game's files of a vehicle called the Colony Rover. The Colony Rover is a four-wheeled off-road vehicle that can be seen on the battlefields of HellDivers 2. That said, the visible Colony Rover models in the game are in destroyed state, much like the way the Patriot exosuits were seen as wreckage before they were released. Ironsight stated in their post that though there are no Colony Rovers in the game that can be interacted with at this time, the game file shows that the models have driving properties and placeholder animations assigned to them, suggesting that Arrowhead did or is doing some of the groundwork development needed to implement those models as pilotable in the game. This isn't the first time players and data miners have speculated about the addition of new wheeled playable vehicles for HellDivers 2. Just before the arrival of the Patriot exosuits, some HellDivers 2 players were seen driving an incomplete version of the Retcon vehicle, a fast all-terrain wheeled transport. Comparison between the Retcon vehicles showed earlier that the Colony Rover reveals some differences though. While the Retcon vehicle resembles a buggy or a Halo Warthog, carried 3 players in a mounted turret, the Colony Rover is large with a box-like silhouette and no visible weapons. Some players in the community speculate on the vehicle's role, suggesting that it might be an armored transport vehicle designed to help squads across the map and avoid enemies rather than fight them. I love HellDivers 2. I'm happy to see that they're still constantly adding stuff. I hope they continue this for years to come. Like, not just a year or two. Like, I want to see like a good 5 years of HellDivers 2 content just constantly being poured out, with them upgrading the game in every possible way that they possibly can. Great job, Arrowhead. You guys are freaking awesome. And also great job to the players who do this data mining stuff to get us excited. You know, these leaks are super exciting, and I can't wait. On our next topic, the ESA says its members won't support the one form of game preservation that might actually work. It's pretty incredible that the ESA stance is that they won't support copyright reform to help libraries make out-of-print games more accessible to researchers under any circumstances. You see, guys, and this is actually part of the next phase. I don't even know which phase we are actually in, but now the games that are out of print, you can't even get them no more. Let's get more into the article to see what they're talking about. The Entertainment Software Association is the big trade organization for the video game industry in the U.S. says it's fully opposed to the proposed copyright exemption that would allow gaming scholars to access online libraries of preserved games. Preservationists have been arguing for an exemption like this for some time, and last week they presented their argument to the U.S. Copyright Office. As the Video Game History Foundation put it, this exemption would make it easier for libraries to share out-of-print games with researchers without hurting the game industry. ESA lawyer Steve Unglund does not see it that way. The preservation organization want a great deal of discretion over how they will handle very valuable intellectual property, he said in the hearing, which was streamed on Twitch by Moral Recordings and highlighted by game developer. Englund said preservation efforts will need to be structured in a way that might be comforting to the owner of that valuable intellectual property, and so at the moment there is no set of limitations we would support. Physical game lending is of course offered at many libraries, but to offer a wide swath of gaming history to our researchers, you would have to maintain a ridiculous array of aging retro electronics to keep these games playable. A free digital library with access to nearly every game ever made also already exists in the form of piracy, but legitimate researchers don't want to be caught in a situation where their work is tied up in illegal source material, hence the push for this exemption. The Copyright Office has the final say on this. VGHF Library Director Phil Salvador says on Bluesky they'll make an informed decision about this in the fall. But it's pretty incredible that the ESA stance is that they won't support copyright reform to help libraries make out-of-print games more accessible to researchers under any circumstances. Still, Salvador is optimistic about the outcome of the hearing. We made a strong case, he said in another post. I feel like this was a big moment for getting game preservation taken seriously as a practice research area. So yeah, they're taking away the stuff that you do have, and they're not allowing you to get back the stuff that you previously had. If you don't already have an original copy of these games, or like they said, pirate it and get it illegally, you're just SOL. Some of these games you will never be able to play again. Some of these games you will never even be able to see again. And that's just because some of these people are just greedy. On our next and last topic, Steam will stop issuing refunds if you play 2 hours of a game before launch day. Now, this is more for people who didn't already know. I already knew about some of the Steam refund things that was going on. I've refunded maybe 3 games all in total from Steam. I didn't really have too much of a problem. I continued playing the game under 2 hours. I know that was always the rule with Steam. As long as you have less than 2 hours on a game, you could get your refund back. I guess now this is more for early access games that have been played, constantly for early access, and then the day before release they'll refund the game and get their money back, even though they already played the game for X amount of times, because the game technically didn't come out yet. 8 years ago, Valve began offering no question asked refunds for any game you buy on Steam, as long as you asked for that refund within 14 days of purchase and hadn't played more than 2 hours of a game. But when Valve started letting you play games ahead of their release dates with its early access and advanced access programs, it introduced a loophole. People could play for many, many hours ahead of launch and still request a refund later. Today, Valve's closing the loophole. Your advanced access and early access playtime will now count against the 2-hour refund limit. Here's what Valve's update refund policy says about that as of today. Refunds on titles purchased prior to release date. When you purchase a title on Steam's prior to the release date, the 2-hour playtime limit for refunds will apply, except for beta testing, but the 14-day period for refunds will not start until the release date. For example, if you purchase a game as an early access or advanced access, any playtime will count against the 2-hour refund limit. If you pre-purchase a title which is not playable prior to the release date, you can request a refund at any time prior to the release of that title, and the standard 14-day 2-hour refund period would apply starting on the game's release date. Compared to earlier this month, refunds on pre-purchase titles. When you pre-purchase a title on Steam, you can request a refund at any time prior to release of that title. The standard 14-day 2-hour refund period also applies starting on the game's release date. I'm actually surprised this wasn't like a rule or a thing that was already in the refund policy. I could definitely see how people were using the system. And honestly, I'm not mad. Like I said, I didn't even know this was a thing. I'm sure there are going to be some people upset, but me personally, I think this is good on their part. Because they're now closing a loophole that I'm sure probably cost them hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in refunds. Hey, I like it. It's a step in the right direction for them. So that's all I have for you guys today. If you made it this far and you like what you heard, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you made it this far and you didn't like what you heard, please like, share, comment, or subscribe. I am the Gaming Zon. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace.